Let's go ahead and get started. Thank you all again so much for being here. My name is Ava Marinelli. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the communications manager here at the Linked Learning Alliance. I'll be handing it off to my colleagues shortly, but just some quick housekeeping before we get started. Please continue to use the chat function throughout today's conversation. Be sure to introduce yourself, ask questions, share reflections. Throughout today's conversation, we'll have folks monitoring that chat for us to make sure that we pull out any questions that folks have for our panelists that will be able to surface during a Q&A portion later on today. We ask that you stay muted if you are not speaking, just so that we're all able to hear. And if you have any technical difficulties, please feel free to message Maya Libas on our team, and she should be able to support you. But with that, I'm going to pass it off to my colleague, Cindy Bader, to start our conversation today.
Great. Thank you, Ava. Welcome, everyone. I'm Cindy Bader, Senior Director of Partner Engagement here at the Linked Learning Alliance. I'm excited to be here with you and our panel of dedicated employer partners who have agreed to join us and share their experiences. Today's purpose is to gain valuable insights into how Pathways can engage, energize, and sustain employer partners to establish an advisory board that meaningfully impacts our youth. The linked learning approach integrates rigorous academics, career technical training, work-based learning, and comprehensive student supports. And when all of these components work together, student lives are changed. And an engaged advisory board is critical to providing students in linked learning pathways with quality career and work-based learning experiences. Advisory board members support Pathways by serving as professional mentors to young people, building students' social capital and professional networks. They help to develop curriculum and projects that integrate real-world applications of their industry themes. They provide feedback on student work and connect students to high-quality work-based learning experiences. So today, we're going to hear from our employers who serve on advisory boards and learn how educators and employers can partner in ways that provide high-quality experiences. So, and now I'm going to turn it over to Tatiana, who will be our moderator for today.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tatiana Newman Wade. I'm the Work-Based Learning Liaison at Oakland High School in the Oakland Unified School District. As a Work-Based Learning Liaison, I support teachers to integrate work-based learning into their curriculum. I coordinate school-wide career awareness and career skill events, in addition to promoting internship opportunities and application support for students. And now I would like to welcome our panelists and have them introduce themselves.
I think I'm being tapped to introduce myself first here. My name is Vaughn Christensen. I am an attorney in Porterville, California, and I am on the advisory board for the Law, Justice, and Ethics pathway at Porterville Unified School District. Happy to be here with you.
Hi, everyone. Alejandra Guitron. I'm a senior port communications specialist with the Port of Long Beach, overseeing all of our education outreach and workforce development programs. And I've been in this field for over 15 years, overseeing workforce development and training programs. Glad to be here.
Good afternoon, everyone. Matt Seals with Seals Construction, based out of the Central Valley here in California. I serve on the Visalia Partners in Education advisory board for all of the CTE programs in Visalia Unified, as well as I serve on the Architectural and Engineering Advisory Board for Redwood High School.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me today. My name is Bill Tynan, and I am the Director of Secondary Education and Workforce Development with a company called Garner Holt Education Through Imagination. We're based in Southern California in the city of Redlands. And I have the pleasure myself of sitting on a couple of different pathway advisory boards within the San Bernardino City Unified School District, as well as participating in district advisory boards for both Fontana USD well, I shouldn't say both, Fontana, San Bernardino, and Riverside as well. So great to be here. Thank you again for having me.
Great, thank you all. So we're going to start out with some questions. So it's important in our education and industry partnership that all partners experience benefits and outcomes from the relationship. That being said, what's been the most valuable part of being on an advisory board, both personally and professionally?
So I'm happy to jump in and start this off. Certainly one of the things that I have been most attracted to and found most appealing in being involved on an advisory board is the interaction with the students and the community. Really my main goal and focus is to help build our local community. You know, it's my legal and educational background. I grew up here in Porterville, where I'm located, went away to college, went to Harvard Law School, and then came back and always wanted to come back to this area to contribute and help grow this community. And especially to help train up other attorneys and other people in kind of the legal field. And so the pathway really provides a vehicle for me to help build community, and to do so, practically at the ground level as we're, helping to interact with students. And it's just a very enriching and fulfilling activity, both professionally and personally.
I am currently on 2 advisory boards with 2 different pathways here within LBUSD. One at Jordan High School, which is the ACE Academy, that oversees advanced manufacturing, construction, engineering. And then we also have a partnership at Cabrillo High School for the Academy of Global Logistics. And let me just say that walking into these advisory board meetings, we recommend bringing in a few students as well and working with them, getting to know the students that you're servicing. And I see myself in them. I mean, I grew up in this community, and I know that the impact that, volunteers such as all of the people here currently on the panel, and all the educators, the impact that we make in students' lives. And so when I go in there, I just see like all the potential and the change that we're making, and the impact that we're doing by bringing in real world experience to these students. So it's really fulfilling to see that, and take the time to really interact with the students that you're servicing, and also establish the relationship with the employers as well.
I'll jump in here. I think one of the most valuable things personally is the interaction with the students, in terms of the personal interaction and helping them figure out what they don't want to do later in life. Oftentimes we'll do a lot of internships for students, and kind of put them in our industry and let them get a feel. And turns out that maybe their aptitude isn't really what they thought it was going to be in terms of construction or engineering, and they have an aptitude that's better for something else. And so helping them personally kind of figure out that the pathway they chose for school may not be something they want to do later in life. I think professionally, just offering school districts, as well as the local academy, insight on our business, insight as to where our business is growing, guidance in terms of the industry and how things are evolving, how quick they're evolving, so that those kind of things can get put into the curriculum and the teaching, so that these kids can get exposed to that early on, and have a little taste of what it is we do out in the field.
Yeah, similarly, for me, the most valuable parts are really echoes, I think, of what we heard from the other 3 panelists thus far. But I can briefly elaborate and say that my background is in public education. I was a teacher, counselor, and administrator for many years. And so the opportunity to join these advisory panels has really been a way for me to remain connected to what's actually happening on school campuses, staying connected to the strengths and the challenges that exist on every school campus. and just really being able to provide some positive influence, mentoring, coaching to students is something that I personally find very rewarding. Professionally, I think it's all of those same things I just said, but I guess the other thing that's coming up for me is this chance to really talk about what 21st century professional skills really look like and mean in my particular work environment, and also what I have learned about those things over the years. And I guess I'm just really happy to say that in my personal experience, there seems to be a real hunger on the part of the advisory panels to really understand what that professional practice, what does that mean? How does that balance the technical skills that employers might be looking for? And so I guess just in summary, to provide, a more well-rounded view, and it's my worldview, but I hope a more well-rounded view of, what it really means to come out of school and successfully enter a professional workplace.
Thank you. Making a positive impact on students' college and career readiness is really the ultimate goal of all our collective work. What impact do you think the advisory board has on the student experience? Vaughn.
Yes, and I switched devices. Kept blanking in and out with my old one, so hopefully this one sticks in here. We have been able to have a lot of good interactions with our students, with our advisory board. We do meet monthly with the program and the teachers, but they also usually invite anywhere from 1 to 4 students to come and present to us and give us updates on what they're doing. And it gives us a great opportunity to interact with them and encourage them in what they're doing. Again, I'm with the Law, Justice, and Ethics pathway, and so we have a number of our advisory board members are involved in mock trial, where they're able to work with the students directly. We have 2 judges who are on our panel, and they've been able to provide a lot of great feedback and kind of externship opportunities. We also, throughout the year, we have interviews with our students, where they're able to present their resumes and kind of do a mock interview for a job, and you were able to provide one-on-one feedback to them. We also have a career chats where we're able to talk about how we got to where we are in our profession, and advice that we would have, and others that would be interested in following that pathway. And the other thing that came to mind is that in our meetings with the teachers, as they're reviewing the program, we're able to provide our input, and we're able to review the curriculum and provide suggestions on how to improve it. One of the things we're working on right now is strengthening the ethics portion. And that's something that I don't know the teachers would have thought of independently. They're doing their best with the materials they have, but as professionals coming into this environment, we're able to say, hey, have you thought of this? Have you taken this into consideration? These are some real life applications and issues that we deal with. And it takes time. It's not a quick process, but over time, many of those suggestions and thoughts do get implemented, which I do think has a direct impact on these students.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and go next on this question. Thanks. So both with the Academy of Global Logistics and with ACE, we really want to bring into the classroom that real world experience that Vaughn was also mentioning. So we include career workshops, mentoring sessions, experiential learning opportunities. So we offer harbor tours. We actually take the students out to the water so they can see the port firsthand and learn about that. But a few things that I think have been very critical to the development and really making the program stronger is using our advisory board to provide feedback on programs. Sometimes the programs that the school may be using aren't the ones that are really being used in the real world. So using them for feedback on the kind of programs, things that they're doing, and also soft skills. I think for most employers, we talk about this all the time. What's going to benefit students? Soft skills. So networking, how to start a conversation, just the getting them comfortable, public speaking, that makes such an impact on them. The other thing that I really recommend that has helped us greatly or immensely has been reaching out to local higher education institutions. Like here would be Long Beach City College, Cal State Long Beach, and pulling some of the people that are actually instructors or students from those programs and inviting them to be part of your advisory board, because they also give a real world at a higher level. Right now, our Academy of Global Logistics is actually changing the capstone program to make it more in line to what they're really doing at a higher level. So using the local resources that you have, whether it be a trades program or local city college, that really gives students the opportunity to get a feel for what's going on. And it also makes that connection. We do field trips out to the city colleges to get them comfortable, get to meet people, and it becomes a part of their world. Like, oh, I know this. I've been on this campus. I know what I'm doing here. So that really has been helpful for the students there.
I can jump in, Tatiana.
Okay. Go ahead.
Or I don't have to.
No, jump in, Bill.
I think we have time. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll be real fast, I promise. I think the impact, I think about it in a couple of different ways. One is the ways that it's primarily student facing. And so this might be attending career fairs, guest speaker opportunities, sitting on, the advisory panel will evaluate senior capstone projects. And so those student facing experiences where it really, for me, it comes down to giving kids the time of day and just really demonstrating our sincere interest in their lives. And, I personally feel that, you can observe the benefit many times of doing so. And that benefit is often pretty simple, just students' willingness to stand there and talk and ask questions and share information. In a more indirect way, I guess I will point to our ability to inform curricular decisions that the school may be considering, programmatic, thematic decisions for lesson planning, for example, and again, just being able to fold in there some of our unique, specific experience, as a company, and how they can use that experience to better plan. More authenticity, perhaps, is a way to describe that.
Thank you for that. Well, we all recognize that industry partner time is very important. And we've heard from industry partners that you need an ask or an invitation to provide support in order to stay engaged and maximize your contributions to student outcomes. So what do you wish Pathways were asking you to do as an industry partner that would more fully leverage your industry expertise? Why don't we start out with you, Bill?
Well, I'll tell you, the thing that's coming up for me is that, most of my experience participating on advisory boards, typically looks like 80% adults and 20% kids. And so this is, of course, not the case when there's an event such as a career fair or, something of that nature. But as far as an advisory goes, the student representation is usually not so high. And so part of what's coming up for me is this idea that advisories, could increase the number of students that are participating, increase that representation in the group. And, I think overall, it promotes a greater capacity, to really consider what's important to the most important stakeholders in all of this, which are the kids.
Matt, why don't you share with us?
Sure. Thanks, Tatiana. I think probably curriculum advisement is probably one of the things that could be leveraged a little harder, especially in the field of architecture, engineering, construction. So much of that is hands-on, and with COVID, a lot of that has been challenged in terms of getting together and working on hands-on types of projects. So being able to take those, those curriculum goals, right, and transfer those into specific tasks or things done in the classroom, I think could be leveraged a little bit harder, especially in the academies where I provide insight into. A lot of times I think things are just written by people and not really real world challenged or delivered. That's where the industry partner can come in and help advise on a goal or an item and get what needs to be gotten out of that specific request in the curriculum, and the kids can have fun doing it. And I think that's probably something that could be leveraged a little bit better.
So when we're setting up advisory boards, one of the first questions that educators want to know is how often and what time of day is most conducive to partner participation. Based on your experience, what would you all advise? Alejandra, what do you think?
So I have a busy calendar, and I think the best thing that has worked for me is if you are going to have advisory board meetings during the academic year, have them laid out for the entire year or even semester at a time. Shoot that out early. Be the one to block your industry partner's calendar before anyone else, so they work around your advisory board meeting rather than the other way around. The worst thing you can do is send last minute requests to industry partners. There's been a thing about, well, are 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning better than a 4 o'clock? I think an invitation with plenty of time is the most important invitation. So just make sure that you plan that out. I like it when they send the whole academic year calendar, shoot it out, put it on their calendars. For most of us that are still working from home, it's fine whether it's 8 o'clock or 4 o'clock, whatever is going to work. For a lot of times, what I prefer is when you can get the lead teacher or the pathway coordinator, whatever time works for them, then reserve it, because they're an integral part of getting the information from the advisory board over to the rest of the class or over to the rest of the CT teachers, or just the whole pathway in general. So it's really important to make sure that you're scheduling meetings to also include the important, leaders in that pathway. So just with plenty of time notice.
Bill?
Personally, I'm an afternoon guy. That has worked well for me. It has kind of been a way that has, I've been able to kind of finish my day with the advisory meetings. It tends to be a little bit easier for me to block out either the beginning of my day or the end of my day. So I don't know. I personally feel that the advisories I'm on have, not necessarily polled me to see what the best times would be, but have, worked pretty hard to make it convenient. So I'm an advocate for the afternoon.
Great. And Matt, what works for you?
I would say do 9 months. I like Alejandra's idea, calendar those things out, get it out early in the year. 9 months, take June, July, and December off. Meet monthly, and the chair gets to pick the time. If someone's running the meeting, they get to pick the time, and everybody else needs to accommodate that time. So if I'm the chair, I'm probably going to pick early in the morning. That's how I do it.
Okay.
Tatiana, I think there's a few questions asking about like how often are the meetings? I would say that for a newly established pathway, it's more often, or newly established advisory board, maybe once a month. For some that are already like stronger ongoing, I've been a part of advisory boards that are quarterly, as long as they're like productive meetings. And agendas are like mandatory, like you need to know what's going to be happening so you keep on track. And I do want to just mention a few things that I wrote down here. One, do not be afraid to ask your advisory board of things. The worst thing they could say is no, like ask speakers for mentoring, for career work. I mean, anything, ask them. The other thing is establish relationships with them. They want to feel like, you know, they're actually being seen. So don't just talk to them during an advisory board meeting, actually have them give feedback, you know, have them play an active role during the meeting. And the last thing I want to mention is it's quality over versus quantity. I've been to advisory boards where it's like a ton of people and there's not a lot being done or not a lot of people being active. You want strong people that are really going to participate.
And if I can jump in real quick, give my 2 cents here. We hold ours monthly. It's the same, you know, it's the third Wednesday of every month. We do take the summer off, and we usually do take perhaps December or some other month off. So it's the reality is we usually have about 8 meetings during the year, but we know when to calendar, we know when to set it off. We do it during the lunchtime, which seems to work best for everybody to carve out that time. And I would just reiterate what's been said is as much as you can plan these ahead of time so that they're calendared, be on time, keep it no more than an hour. Be organized and make sure that it's valuable what you're doing. You're not just meeting to meet, make sure there's an agenda. And if so, then, I mean, I always, as long as it's a productive meeting, then I'm glad that I was able to participate.
Matt, can you let us know how often does your advisory board meet?
I think we're on like an every other month, which has worked out well. Our VPI folks, I think we meet quarterly on the VPI, which is kind of like an advisory board for all the other programs within all the other advisories and linked learning CTE programs in the district. So that tends to work out well. But I think a monthly meeting in terms of calendaring with the school calendar, taking a few months off for the vacation period works well, as long as there's a busy agenda and things to get done.
Thank you. Okay. It's important for educators to understand how to build and sustain industry partner engagement on advisory boards. What is the one piece of advice you would give educators about partnering with industry professionals? Matt, why don't you start us off?
Sure. I would think that when you're asking somebody to participate, have some very clear goals for them, have some very clear requests for them in terms of what you want them to provide. You know, everybody's got a different gift in terms of what they can do. Some people can provide internships, others can't. Some people can guest speak in classrooms, others don't have the time to do that. So when you're approaching somebody to be involved in that, I think you got to know what they can give back and make sure it fits with what you're trying to achieve. On the flip side of that, don't just have a group of people meet to meet. You know, have something for them to do. I can't tell you how many meetings I go to, and it's just it's just an agenda where people report. That an industry partner doesn't want to be involved in a reported meeting. They want to be able to do something. They want to give their 2 cents. They want to, you know, take action on items in a meeting, discuss things, come up with approaches. And I think that's where sometimes educators and industry, there's a gap. There's a lot of reporting in education, and industry wants to get things done. So the two need to come together right? And at those meetings, they need to be productive and they need to be enthusiastic for industry partners to participate. Sitting there for an hour, just hearing somebody talk about all the different programs is not beneficial to an industry partner. They need to be engaged and they need to be asked to do something and take action. So that's the advice I'd provide.
Vaughn, do you have any advice to provide?
Yeah, I think everything Matt said is great. And I'd like to piggyback off of that to say that I think the industry partners want to engage. That's what they're looking for. They want to engage. And they will respond if asked and kind of challenged to do so. You may need to be a little flexible and a little creative and to figure out the best way to do so. I think Matt's example that, some are able to do internships. That's true for my office. We've been able to do a lot of student internships and we've loved it. But I'm not able to go into the classrooms very often because I've got court or I've got other obligations. But other partners are able to do that. And so, adapt your needs to what the partners are able to do. But the key message I would say is they want to engage. They don't want to just be a warm body, and they don't want to just just fill a seat. They want to be able to contribute, and it's just I think the challenge then is just finding the right way for them to do so.
Thanks. Alejandra and Bill, would you like to chime in before we move on to the next
Yeah,
section?
I'll just, everything they just said, I think they hit it like perfectly. But I will mention something because I like to keep it real. Don't be scared to screen your advisory board, because sometimes we make the mistake of just allowing anybody to participate. And let's be honest, you will have some people that like to just hear themselves talk. And you're like, it's been 10 minutes, who's going to cut them off? So be okay with not having to allow everyone to be part of your advisory board. Again, it's quality over quantity, and you're there to get things done and not to just hear somebody, talk. So I'll just mention that.
Yeah, thank you. And I think I'll just quickly add on without repeating the things that have already been said. From a more holistic view, I think the benefit for educators for really considering advisory boards is two things. One, I think it blows students' worlds wide open with better understandings for what might be out there that align with their interests, talents, and passions, things that they may have never known existed or only thought existed as hobbies or things you did on the side. So that's the first thing. The second reason is because it can help make kids' worlds a lot smaller too, kind of demystifying what it means to talk with professionals doing the kind of things that they want to do. That opportunity to hear from us about, mistakes we've made along the way, things that we've learned along the way. So both making kids' worlds a lot bigger and making them smaller at the same time.
All right, thanks. I think we have a few more questions from audience members. So there's a question here from Carrie Harvey. She's asking, can you give us a synopsis of the role of an advisory board?
Well, I'll jump in real quick. I think the advisory board is there to support the teachers. I mean, certainly we're there to support the students, but in many ways, what we're supporting, in my experience, are the teachers and their organization of things. They know how to teach, but they don't really know, in my instance, the law. They don't know the experiences in the kind of the real world career applications. And so that's where we're able to bring that perspective, the advice. We're able to bring a little bit of reality to the students in the sense that it's one thing for the teacher to say, hey, this is what an interview is like. It's another for them to actually come before somebody and do the interview. And so I'd say more than anything, in my experience, we're a support to the teachers in developing their prep pathway program. And the end goal, though, is to serve the students. So.
another question here from Danny Maxwell. Are people generally meeting virtually, or have you had any success with in-person meetings recently?
I can speak to that. Yes, Danny, generally speaking, meetings have been happening virtual now here for soon it'll be 2 years. And I will say that, and I think Alejandra was speaking to this earlier, when there's a really tight agenda and, good knowledge among the facilitators for the goals and objectives of the meeting, virtual works really well. I think it has helped to make things very, very efficient. And regarding in-person, it's been a while since I have been to an in-person meeting, but that's effective when the agenda and the objectives are again very clear. But if it's convenient for me to go to these campuses, and so that's something I really enjoy, just really having my feet on the ground there.
I can say from my experience, we were virtual for a good year or more. We did last year, we had probably 2 times that we were able to meet in person. More recently with the surge, we went back to virtual, but I think we do plan to go back in person. There is, it's great to be able to do virtual when you need to, but there is an extra power in being able to meet in person. So we do try to do that when we can.
We've been virtual and I can't wait to get back to in person.
Alejandra, how are your meetings hosted?
They have all been virtual, and I think that's also going to depend on the school district that you're working with. So some districts have not yet allowed in-person visits, but I know that they're making that transition. I personally love in-person meetings. I think it's a great way to establish relationships and just stay after. And if you have that person that you can talk to, I get more out of it. I mean, I'm working with the virtual because that's what we have right now, but I personally do love the in-person. And I know Tatiana and Cindy, there were a few questions about what is the makeup of the advisory board. I was able to find a document. I don't know if we have time for me to share, to show you guys. Let me know. I pulled it up.
We have a couple of minutes. You want to either pull it up or you can attach it to, send it on. But if you want to pull it up real quickly, and then we can
sure, I will do it very, very quickly.
Send it out as a
let me see if you
resource.
guys can you see this here? Let me go to the very top. This is our advisory board structure. Very quickly, it'll have an academy overview of what it is, and then the mission and purpose of the advisory board. And then we do specifically state the member participation. What is it that you want from these industry professionals that want to participate? And then we go into the organization. And then, sorry, the important part that they were talking about, we're the chairperson, co-chair, and we have a communications chair as well. So I'll stop sharing because I know we're short on time.
And are you willing, Alejandra, to have us add that resource to the deck, when we send it out?
Yeah, I'm sure we can. Absolutely.
Okay, that's great.
Again, from our experience, we do have the teachers that are running the pathway. We have the principal usually is there of the school, which has been vitally important. We usually have a student representative there. And then we have our industry leaders, which for our experience are attorneys. We've got the district attorney, we've got a public defenders, we've got, like I mentioned, 2 judges. We also have representatives from police and fire from the local college comes, so we can coordinate college courses, as well as other EMT representatives, just to give an example of who we have on our board.
Okay. Can you all speak more about recruiting new advisory board members if you're involved in that process? And how many members are on your actual advisory board?
So I can probably cover the first on how do you get new advisory board members. the best is to use your current advisory board members, because they'll know who's good with, working with other people. They'll know them. So they'll make that recommendation like, oh, I really recommend this person, or they'll pull someone from their circle as well. So I really recommend that. I don't know if anyone else wants to chime in.
I think oftentimes you kind of need to know your needs, and then what kind of industry partner out there maybe can help you fill that need, right? And often it's kind of hard to match that. We try to just, I think at first we kind of just tried to get anybody who wanted to participate. And that works out well for a while, but then there's attrition and people get busy and fall off. And so you have to kind of reevaluate that advisory board in terms of what you want and what the makeup is. I think Alejandra said it earlier, screening and kind of being a little picky sometimes is not a bad thing when it comes to putting people on your board. But I think knowing the needs is important for recruitment.
And can you all let us know roughly how many members are on your advisory boards?
Yeah, I think our board has about 14 members. I think it's a little bit larger than many of the others in our district.
I've typically seen between 10 to 20, but I would say 15 is like a good number. Then you have like even if a few miss for a meeting, you still have a good number to go around.
Yeah, the boards that I sit on are approximately 10 members. I would put it at about 10.
Yeah, same here. I think those numbers are pretty consistent.
And is there a chairperson, an industry person, or someone from the school?
Industry partner for us.
I think it's important that the industry folks be empowered to chair those meetings. I think that gives it a little different feel when that rotates around to the different companies that are participating in the advisory board, rather than an educator. Obviously the educators at the local sites, they help prepare the agenda and craft that in terms of what they want to achieve out of the meeting. But I think having industry partners chair these meetings and kind of be the voice and the spokesperson is important for the group's assembly.
Yep, I agree with that.
Earlier, we spoke about in-person and virtual. Have you ever had a meeting where there was an option to participate in person or virtually at the same time?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Is the question whether they had the option? The answer is yeah, we have done that, where we had some people that were virtual and some. It can be a little awkward because you've got some people are appearing by screen while other people are in person, but we have done that.
Okay.
I don't think that's been an option for us.
And can you give us an example of an effective meeting, and like what type of things do you focus on? You all shared some of that earlier, but if you can give us an example of a meeting that you've had that was really effective.
We've had one where we were reviewing our capstone course, and we have industry take a look at it and make recommendations like, I'd recommend you add this or include this, or this is kind of outdated, it's not really being used for the industry now. And so that's a good way of getting them involved and feeling like they're actively working on something that's going to be implemented at the school.
I'm thinking about a particular instance when health science, medical pathways, medical technology, pathway was considering a really significant investment in equipment that was going to, have a pretty big impact on curriculum and alignment, and you know, it really had the potential to redefine a good chunk of students' experience. And so the conversation that we ended up having, which was very rich, was really around questions of why. And they were honest questions. And you know, in this instance, there, you know, was I felt we were able to achieve a level of openness where people, you know, could give critical feedback, but you know, it wasn't taken personally or anything like that. And so, yeah, we just had a rich discussion around why this purchase was being considered, what were the goals, objectives of such a purchase, and how did they hope this would both increase student achievement and also build that stronger bridge between high school and post-secondary, be it higher education or work.
Yeah, what comes to my mind is, which I think is consistent with the other comments, it's when there's a challenge that is brought to the board to discuss, that's where it feels, you know, that we're contributing the most. That's where, in some ways, I think we're able to bring our skills to play more. You know, when there's a real issue that the, you know, educators are trying to deal with, and we're able to come with solutions, real life solutions. And, you know, just one immediate one that comes to mind, you know, we've been kind of struggling with our students really having a direction with, you know, kind of post high school direction. You know, the pathway gives a little bit of guidance that way, but it turned into a wonderful discussion about, well, how do we help people really prepare for life? Career is part of that, but it involves a lot of other things. And one of the things that came out of that was, it turned out somebody in our panel had real connections to a stenographer training course. And it turned out we had a good dozen or so students who were interested in pursuing that course, and we've been able to now implement that into the curriculum. And so it's now helping, you know, these students with a real life path that they didn't have before. And the way that came about is because the educators felt comfortable enough or vulnerable enough to say, hey, this is something we're really struggling with, and asking for our input.
So what advice would you give to other industry professionals that are considering becoming an industry partner to a linked learning pathway?
Take the chance. Take the chance and see what it's all about. See for yourself. I think that you know, this experience just this afternoon has forced me to reflect on my experience as a pathway, as an industry pathway partner in this work, and I think I feel really lucky right now that the groups I'm with do have direction and do have focus, and I'm seeing in this moment that that's been a big motivator for me to stay with it. But I think there's a lot to gain. I think that it is a small sacrifice of time and energy, which is a real thing, but there's a lot to gain, and it's an audience that really wants to hear from us. And so I would encourage, you know, anyone in industry to really think about it, and, you know, really do some investigation to see what they can give, because they're going to get a lot back. They're going to get a lot back, and it is, of course, what you get back is the satisfaction of knowing you're contributing to the improvement of the lives of young people.
Well, and when you think about it, these are your future coworkers. These are your future employees. You know, what better way to kind of elevate your workforce than to get in, you know, at the ground level? And I know from my experience, there's something, you know, I would wish employees would come in with better writing skills, better communication skills, speaking skills. Well, we can work on that, you know, in the high school level and with these pathways. And, you know, so, and it's very rewarding to do so. I mean, it really is.
I think any participation from an industry partner is better than no participation. And, you know, whether they come to a meeting, whether they just, you know, provide an internship opportunity, anything of magnitude helps the end goal.
I think an opportunity for advisory boards, and this is just a recommendation for the people working there at the schools, we as advisory board members, it's us, and maybe sometimes we'll have, 3-4 students that join. But we started planning barbecue days or pizza days where we would, have the students all come out during lunch and get to meet the people that get to meet the students that you're actually servicing. That is so rewarding because you meet month after month, but we really don't get a chance to see them. So once we started doing this and interacting and talking to them and hearing like, oh, what classes do you like? Or what projects, what integrated projects are you working on that you really enjoy? That's when you really get to sell what you're having these industry partners do when they get to see all of the students all at once. So just remember that even a little bit of social time with the students and the advisory board is always a nice thing.
Right. I'd like to thank all of our panelists for participating today. You guys have given some awesome feedback and advice. And I think that was our last question. So I'm going to turn it back over to Cindy to close it out. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, panelists. That was wonderful. I loved all the different advice that you gave. I love that, ask, and bring the students in, ask for what you want. Don't report out, really just be active and engaging. So thank you so much for all of your input. And right now, everyone, if you would just take a few minutes, our feedback survey, you can see the QR code or the bit.ly. Please just take a few minutes. We really like to get the feedback to help us, for future offerings. So just take a few minutes to do that. Well, a minute. Great. I just want to take a minute or two to go over some of our upcoming opportunities, the dates. So the middle school network, if you're interested in linked learning as it applies to the middle school, join us on March 1st. March 10th, the certification office hours. If you have any questions around certification, how to do it, any technical questions, feel free to jump into the certification hours. And then the support network, where you can get together and talk and get support around certification. We have some great conferences that Linked Learning will be participating in: the Educating for Careers, the National Institute for Post-Secondary Strategies, Just Equations, the Mathematics of Opportunity, and then March 7th through 12th, the big South by Southwest Education Conference is coming up, and Linked Learning will be presenting at all of those conferences, so join in for those. And I'm going to hand this back to Ava.
Thanks so much, Cindy. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to share one other really exciting opportunity that we would love to invite the linked learning field and also your industry partners to join us in. We've launched this campaign, Keep Us Linked. It's a call to invest in young people through college and career readiness opportunities and investments. We have a page where you can learn more about how you can get involved. We'll share a couple of specific asks that we have for folks in the chat. We invite each and every one of you here to stand with California's young people and join the Keep Us Linked campaign as a supporter. Those who sign on with us will have access to exclusive advocacy content to help us amplify your voices and the voices of the movement, to show why it is so important to have college and career preparation for young people, like we see in linked learning. We also invite industry partners, pathways, schools, and districts to sign on as a coalition partner. We know that this work does not happen on our own. We need to join with K-12, higher ed, industry and community to ensure that we're supporting our young folks as a village. So coalition partners will have access to advocacy materials. They'll be featured on our website, and in these materials, they'll have exclusive access to engagement opportunities with the Alliance and other coalition partners. Please feel free to reach out to me, Ava Marinelli, with any questions you might have about Keep Us Linked. But we hope you'll join us and stand with California's young people. And Cindy, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Great, thank you, Ava, and thank you everyone for joining us today. It was a wonderful conversation around, really building opportunities for our students to experience working with professionals. And I just thank all of the panelists for spending their time. We know how valuable everyone's time is. So with that, I thank you all for your valuable time and wish you luck as you build and create great advisory boards and industry professional partnerships. So thank you and have a wonderful day.